welcome to my channel. I hope you'll find this video super useful, and if you do, make sure you give it a thumbs up. In today's video, you're going to learn how to fix stuck valves on the French horn. So what you'll need for this video is your French horn, a cloth or a towel to put your horn on, and some valve oil or rotary oil, whatever you've got. So why are my valves stuck? Have I broken it? So don't panic. If you've just picked up your horn and the valves won't work, don't panic at all, because this video is going to help you go from completely stuck valves to moving again. So there's a few reasons why valves freeze up on all brass instruments. One reason why your valves are stuck might be because there's a build-up of either food, any oils or slide oil that you use in your instrument. That can build up around the mechanisms, and if you haven't played your instrument for a long time, maybe over Christmas holidays or summer holidays, then this will build up in your horn and solidify and stop the mechanisms from working. So the tips in this video are really easy to follow. There's something you can do from home. These tips will sort out any valves that are frozen up with build-up of oils and foods and things like that. If after all of these steps in the video your valves still don't move, then it's definitely time to call a repair person, because the last thing you want to do is try and repair it yourself and make the problem worse. So you want to get your horn out of its case and you notice that the valves are stuck. So there's no teacher around that's going to help you, so how do you do that? You might be tempted, and this is what a lot of my students do, is they'll press the valve as hard as they can to try and get it moving again. This is absolutely the wrong thing to do, because you're putting pressure on the valve, which then puts pressure on the rotary and the string underneath, if you have string valves, or the rotary arms underneath. At some point, if you keep doing this, the string will definitely break, and then you've created a much bigger, more expensive problem, which will need to be fixed by a professional. So if your valves are stuck, whatever you do not apply force to those valves. So as you can see, I've got my horn on a towel, which is going to collect all of the oil and make sure that it doesn't ruin the surface underneath. So this is my bearing oil from Paxman's. I've also got some Alcas valve oil, just some regular brass band instrument oil. I've also got a syringe and a blunt needle, the same that you use to fill up printer cartridges. So I will show you how to use that shortly. Then we're going to take off the valve cap first of all. So the first thing we're going to do is put a little bit of this bearing oil onto that bearing to try and get it moving. You'll see that the nozzle at the top of the bearing oil is quite large. So we're going to use the syringe to get a really accurate application of the bearing oil. So I'm just going to take the syringe out and I'll put the needle on there. So we'll fill it up with some bearing oil. So you'll only need a tiny bit, about this will do. So then we're going to go ahead and apply some to the valve and then try and get it moving. Okay, so that's still stuck, that's not moving at all. So let's try something different. So as that's not moving, what we're going to do is we're going to remove this slide and this slide, which are the corresponding slides to this valve. We're going to put a little bit of valve oil down there and see if we can get it moving. Normally when you take out your slide, you always press down the corresponding valve, but as this one is not going down, we're just going to have to take it out as it is. So we're going to keep trying to press the valve down, keep easing it down. We can roll the horn around a little bit like this, which will get the oil right into the rotors and hopefully get it moving. So if you've tried putting the bearing oil on, you've tried wiggling it, you've put valve oil down the slides and it's still not moving. So the next thing to do is to get our pliers and make sure that they're covered with the electrical tape. This means that they won't scratch your beloved French horn, but they are going to help to get those valves moving. So what are we going to use these pliers for? So we're going to use them to get right into the other side of your valves and try and get those valves moving. It's really important that when you're getting your pliers around this part of the instrument, that you're trying to move it in a half circle motion like this. So we're going to try and manually move these rotors with the pliers as they are completely stuck. So let's have a go. So this might take a little bit of time. Make sure you're being really gentle with it. Right, so that has worked now. That's gone through and we are finally cooking on gas. Okay. So this looks like quite a drastic measure, but if your valves are not moving, this is one of the only ways you're going to be able to do this from home. So now that is moving, we're going to keep pressing it down, keep moving it. We're going to add a little bit more bearing oil on there. Just keep that valve moving. Now it's started moving, we do not want it to seize up again. We've unstuck our valves, they're working beautifully. So how do I avoid this happening to my horn ever again? My first tip is to give your horn a bath regularly. No, really. So cleaning your horn regularly in the bath with lukewarm water, you can do it in the shower as well, and running all the water through the horn, and then afterwards make sure all the water's out and then oil it back up again. If you do this regularly, it will keep your horn in great working order. Depending on how often you play and how much valve oil you put into your instrument, I would say once every month if you play every day, and if you play less than that, at least once every 2 to 3 months is really great. And it will prevent your valves from sticking and keeping everything moving smoothly. My second tip is to oil those valves regularly. Another reason why valves stick is because they can be completely dry. They've got no oil on them whatsoever, so that's why they get stuck. There's lots of friction there and they won't move up and down. So oil your valves regularly. If you play every day, once a week is great. If you play less often, then maybe once a month. Once you get an irregular oiling schedule with your instrument, you'll find out quickly how much oil it really needs. And number 3, don't drink or eat before you play. Now this sounds very gross, and I always tell my students this. Everything you eat and drink before you play, it's going to stay in your mouth, some of it. And when you're playing and you're blowing all that air into the instrument, that food and drink that's left on your teeth is heading straight for the insides of your instrument. So I mentioned at the beginning of this video that a reason why valves stick is because it has food and debris attached to the mechanisms inside. To prevent this from happening, just drink water while you're playing, and before you play your instrument, make sure that you haven't just eaten a really big meal before, and make sure you clean out your mouth before you play. Gross, but true. So thank you for watching this brass teacher video all about how to unstick your French horn valves. I hope you found this video really useful, and if you did, make sure you give it a thumbs up. If you're a beginner, or even if you want to improve your technique, make sure you hit subscribe to stay up to date with all my how to horn videos.